I dropped my pick on purpose. I'm gonna do a little life hack video for musician, guitar player, gigging musician. So let's get started. You dropped your pick in the sound hole. Now, chances are, if you've played an acoustic guitar before, you've done this same thing. Now, the traditional way to get a pick out of a sound hole in an acoustic guitar is to flip around the guitar and shake it around like an idiot. Usually taking about 15 minutes, if not successful at all. So you can shake it around. The problem is it gets stuck on all the support trusses in here. So here's your tip on getting a pick out of a sound hole. Drop it down to where you can see it. I usually go right down into this corner. And then you're gonna flip it up and over until you get it in between the two trusses that run directly underneath your sound hole. Now, I can see that it's directly underneath the sound hole. I'll show you guys. There she is. She's right down there in the sound hole. Now here's your tip to get it out. What you're gonna need is a number 2 pencil. You're gonna want the eraser on this end. This end is a good guitar tool as well. We'll get to that in just a minute. You want this end of the pencil, you want to go down in between your D and your G string. Depress the pick. Now you're going to pick up the whole guitar while keeping pressure on the pick, on the pencil. And you flip it over until it's level. And once you got it level, you can drop and release, and there goes that pick. She came right out. There's your pencil trick for getting a pick out of an acoustic guitar sound hole. Now, more about the pick. We all have our preferred pick. Mine are called snarling dogs. I love these. I call them cat tongues. They have a little texture on them. I like the .73. Now, everybody has their preferred pick, and it seems that you play better when you have your preferred pick. Some people like them rounded. Some people like them thicker. Some people put a hole in the center for a grip. And I happen to love these, and I hardly ever drop one. If you got your preferred pick, always have one on you at all times. Now, I'm a local musician in my area. I have people come to my shows that are also local musicians. A lot of times I will have them play my set break so that they get some exposure to the owners of that restaurant, and maybe they get a gig there. And I do the same thing when I go out and see some of my friends. They'll have me play their set break so that I get exposure to whatever venue that they're playing in. So I'm in a habit, and because of parties and stuff when I was younger, I'm always in a habit of putting a few in this little pick pocket here in a pair of jeans. Anytime I have a pair of jeans on, I have a few picks in my pick pocket. The other advantage of this is when you do your laundry, it cleans all the goo out of the little grips. And you get nice, fresh, clean picks out of the laundry. Now, my wife doesn't like it so much, picking picks out of the laundry basket, but it works. It works. So, pick pocket. There you go. Now, also, you're playing. You're a gigging musician and you're out playing, and you drop your pick. Now, if you're really good, you can bend down, squat down, and in between strums, pick up that pick and keep going. But I'm not that good. If you're a loop player, you can leave a loop going, go ahead and pick it up. But what if you're not? Well, I have one on my strap. Now there's also all kinds of aftermarket pick holders that you can get and you can glue onto your body of your guitar. And you know, a lot of people don't like to glue things to the body of their guitar. So I like to attach one to my pick. I use this fish hook that's meant for hats. But, you know, it's something personal because I fish too. Something personal that's a decoration on my strap. And it also has the functionality of holding an extra pick. So when I drop one, I can pick one up real quick. I also have this hair tie. What's the hair tie for? Well, I prefer these Schaub capos. And I put a little container on my strap so that it's always right there. I don't have to guess whether I've clipped it to the mic stand or left it over by the soundboard. It's always right here on my strap. So there's a way you can integrate your strap to have your guitar tools or your guitar playing tools ready and handy while you're playing. So let's get back to that pencil. Why is the pencil a good guitar tool? Well, I've already showed you how to use the eraser to get a pick out of the sound hole. Now I'm going to show you how to use the other end. You want a nice sharp graphite pencil. Now this comes into handy when you're changing strings. If you've had a new guitar that's not really broken in yet, or sometimes even an old guitar that gets a little wear in your nut and your saddle, your bridge. You've been tuning your guitar and heard a little tink, 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 tink. That is the wound part of the string catching on the nut or on the bridge. So it catches, and sometimes it could be like almost catching. You could think it's in tune, looks in tune. You go ahead and throw a capo on, or you go ahead and start playing, and it makes that extra tink. Now you're incrementally out of tune, which every guitar player hates, especially performing guitar players. You want to sound in tune all the time. So when you change your strings, first thing I do is I take whatever gauge string it is, at least the wound ones, the larger wound ones on top, your E, A, D, G. So let's say I'm changing this E string. It's a 0.56 gauge string. I take that 0.5 gauge string once I got it off the old one that has a bunch of my finger goo in it. It's a dead string anyway. I take it and I use it like floss, and I hit the bridge and the nut and the bridge with just a little like sanding action. Now you don't want to sand it too much. That kind of thing is for a professional luthier. And when you get to that point, you go ahead and bring your guitar into a professional luthier and you have it done right and have them set it up. But each time you change your strings, it's probably a good idea. And what I do is I give a little sawing motion, and I go up and down, and kind of give it a couple little saws each way. And that's getting the burrs off from the side that catch the string. Then when I'm done that, before I put my new string on, I take my nice sharp number 2 pencil and I pencil in that groove on both your nut and your saddle. So you go ahead, not enough to discolor your nut, but enough to get graphite in there. Graphite is a perfect lubricant for guitars and guitar strings. So you go ahead and put graphite in all those slots. Not enough to discolor the whole thing, just enough to lube it up. Put your new strings on, and you'll notice when you tune, it's nice and smooth, and it doesn't make those tink, 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 tink noises anymore. It's also not pinching your string, and you have a less likely chance to break a string. Also, if you are a guitar player, when you break a string, you want to pay attention to where that string broke. Because if you have your A string, breaking at the bridge more than once, chances are you have something happening in your bridge where it's pinching the string. So when you break a string, you want to make sure to pay attention to where it broke, so that if it breaks in the same place next time, you can dial down the fact that you have a problem you need to address right here. It can save you a lot of money in strings if you just pay attention. That's a Jedi skill. So let's see what I got next. That's the graphite wristband. Playing outside shows during the summer. I'm in the habit of having a wristband on my strumming hand all the time. This is because I've been in outdoor shows before where you start sweating. It's awful. You don't have time to get a towel, but sometimes you can let a chord ring out, give her a swipe on the way back, and keep playing. So I always like to have this, especially on hot days, but I am in the habit of having it on my wrist. It also works as a good palm muter. If you put it right here on the bridge, it works as a good palm muter. So, wristband. You can look like a goofy cool guy from the 80s, but it's actually functional as a sweatband and as a muting device. A fan. Now, I'm not talking about the guys that see your shows and like your music. I'm talking about the kind that whirl around and give you air. Now, obviously, in the middle of the summer, a fan is advantageous, correct? It's cooling you off while you're playing. But I find the more pertinent time to have a fan is in the spring and the fall, when the muggy weather comes in and you get swarmed by mosquitoes. Now, if you've played an outdoor show before, you know that mosquitoes and bugs are the worst because you're playing a two-hand instrument and you've got a mosquito drilling into your head. Now, I've done things before, like I've actually gone up to my PA speaker and rubbed my head against it to get a bug off so I could keep playing and get this mosquito off my face. But I have found fans, moving air. As long as you move the air around you, those bugs won't land on you. They might be annoying, but they won't land on you. And so I'm in the habit of anytime I have an outdoor show and indoor shows really too in the summertime because bugs get inside. I like to have two fans. I like to have one pointed up at my face and one pointed low at my ankles because mosquitoes love to get into your ankles. So I have one coming from one direction up at my face and one coming from the other direction at my ankles. And I usually hide them, if I can, underneath the PA speaker so that they're kind of out of the way. They're not bulky. They're not in everything. They're actually just sitting underneath the speaker and they're doing their function properly, which is keeping bugs off of me. So a fan, two fans. Another thing I do just for a joke purpose, I bought fans purposely for gigs. So I wrote on them with a marker, #1 fan. I have one that has an arrow down to the bottom that says, "This is my fan base." It's just a chuckle that people can get, an extra chuckle that people can get as your whole show as a live presentation. Now we'll go into that in just a bit. Your whole show as a live presentation. So I've gone through, and most musicians have gone through a time period where they make set lists. Especially when you're a new musician, you get really nervous about wanting to make a good impression on these people that you're going to be playing for. So you write down all the songs that you know and what order you want to play them in and how you're going to impress this audience, and you think it all through, and you could spend 2 or 3 days thinking about this gig that you have at the weekend and what your set list is going to be. I've done it before. I've spent 3 days making a set list, the perfect set list for the gig that I'm about to play this weekend. And then the gig comes and there are different people there than you thought were going to be there, or the people that are there are reacting differently to the songs that you're playing, and you end up changing your set list around. I don't think I can think of a time where I've ever played a set list that I've made, a solid set list that I've made all the way through. I always end up skipping around. I always end up playing a song and being like, this isn't the right song for this time or these people or what have you. So I'm going to skip around the set list. So I've come to the habit of making a categorized set list. These are all the songs that I was playing last summer. I got to make a new one for this summer's gig season, if you will. I have this file on my computer, so it's easy enough. I just go in and change out some of the songs. I add the new songs that I've started to play. I take out some of the old songs that haven't really been hitting very well. So I have this categorized set list. And basically what it says is slow rock, slow country, up-tempo rock, up-tempo country, originals, Celtic, comedy, what have you. It's categorized. So when I'm profiling the audience, I usually like to profile the audience and find the people that aren't having any fun and try to figure out what song would make them start paying attention. Because once you get somebody's attention now that you've played something they like, they're listening to your next 3 or 4 songs anyway. So I try to play this game where I try to get everybody's attention, and a way to do that is to pick somebody out at the bar that's not really, you can tell they're not really listening to the music. Try to profile them, you know. Are they wearing camo boots? Maybe they like country music, you know. Are they, are they a younger crowd? Maybe they'd like one of my converted hip-hop tunes. That's another thing I've learned through the years about learning new songs. I want to learn new songs that aren't like the other songs that I've learned. So I have a variety of songs to kind of pick and choose from that allow me to profile the audience and play something that they might like. So this allows me to get to what I've profiled the person as quickly. Like, oh, this person probably likes some old 70s rock. So I go to my slow rock section and I find an old 70s rock tune that I'd like to play, and or 60s, 70s type thing. And next thing you know, I'm playing Dobie Gray, Drift Away, and they're turning around in the chair. So categorized set list helps you get to a category first. And then I usually try to find a specific song that will help me segue from whatever the last song is. And a lot of times it will work. Whatever the last song is, I can find a song in the new section for a different genre of song, but have the titles be similar, or some way I can segue to make your show sound complete and sound like you did that ahead of time. Sometimes it comes to you right off the top of your head, but it helps people get involved. Now they're not just involved in your music, they're involved in what's happening in between times too. They are waiting for what you're doing next. That's what makes you a good entertainer. Now, you may not be the best singer or the best guitar player, like yours truly. I'm not. There's better people in my area that can do both those things better than I can. But what I try to do is make a show that people want to go to and want to come back to. You can be a good entertainer without being the best at your trade craft, you know. Part of your trade craft is entertaining people and making sure everybody's having a good time. So, without further ado, let me get to making money. Now, if you're a gigging musician, you want to make money. There's a certain amount of money you make from showing up and playing, you know. The venue pays you a certain amount of money. A lot of venues, I will ask for more money if they don't allow a tip jar. So, you know, I got a set price. If they don't want to pay that price, I say, okay, well, I'll do it for lower, as long as you let me have a tip jar. Now, some restaurants have a problem with this because if they're tipping the musician, they're not tipping their servers. And you want to pay attention to that too. You don't want to take all the money from the servers. You want to be invited back. That's your goal, is to be invited back and to make friends and fans at any gig you have, including the ownership. So you want to try to work with them and have them work with you and show them what you can do. So you want to make some tips. Your going rate's $200 and you decided to do a gig for $150, but you've asked for tips. Now you want to make sure you make that extra $50. Tip jars are an art form. Now, you want to be funny and personable with your tip jars. You want to ask for money without making it look like you asked for money. So I'm going to tell you how to do that. A lot of times I use my guitar case as my tip jar. I'll put a sign in there with something funny or ironic. I keep a dry erase board in my guitar case. I put things like, if it's a bar area where you know there's not going to be a lot of children, you can put something like, I like big tips. And put a little nipple on the P of the tip. And make the P kind of sag a little bit, put a little nipple on it. So that people know what you're meaning is breasts. They laugh at it. You'll be surprised at how many people will tip you without even hearing you play music because they chuckled at your tip sign. Sometimes I give them options with something practical versus something impractical. Like for instance, if you're in a bar situation where you know there's not going to be a lot of children, and those are the easier ones to get a big R-rated laugh out of somebody. You can say, you know, what should I do? Should I pay my car insurance or should I go see strippers? And I'm not a guy that likes to see strippers. I'm a happily married dude. Or about to be. But it's fun for the funness of it. And, you know, you got people drinking at a show. Watch how fast they fill up the stripper side of your guitar case. Gets filled up real fast. I've done something before where, well, when in 2016 election season, I made a bunch of money at a gig by separating my guitar case into two sections and saying Trump and Hillary, and mentioning it a few times during the gig, and watching people come up and placing their vote by putting money in my case. Now, who won? This guy, because I ended up going out with almost $200 in my tip case. For the pandemic, I was putting a jar far away from my case. I put some hand sanitizer next to it. Now, the hand sanitizer, this gets into another trick with your tip jar. This one says social dis tips. I know it's social dis tips. Some kind of funny pun. You can tell people that if they don't want to be next to they don't want to come close to the case, there's your Venmo. They can tip from sitting down. And you mentioned that a couple times during the gig. And it seems like you're not begging for money, but you're begging for money. So you do something funny, you put something on there. I put some hand sanitizer during the pandemic and told people that the hand sanitizer is free, but tips are appreciated. So nobody comes to a tip jar and doesn't lay a tip in it. So you put things next to your tip jar that you want people to come see. So I always put my swag there. I got stickers, these stickers that I got at All Out Graphics. Give us a call if you want your own sticker design. I got my swag stickers. So if you want a sticker, you come, you put them next to your tip jar. You tell people that stickers are free, but tips are appreciated. Now, you're not begging for money, but you've told people that they got a free sticker by there. They're not going to come up without laying at least $1 in there, you know? And usually it's a 5 or a 10. Business cards. You want your business cards? You can mention all the services that you provide. I happen to DJ as well. I run trivia shows. I do open mics. You can mention all the things that you do. You do private parties. You do weddings. My cards are up here next to my tip jar. Cards are free. Give me a call. But tips are appreciated. Once again, you're not begging for money, but you're getting people to your tip jar. And like I said, people don't go to your tip jar without putting something in. Now, here's the big psychological trick. The little trick I use to get people to come to lay money in my tip jar, and I've seen it work. I've seen lines form at my tip jar to give me money. So you've got a gig in what you believe to be, because you played here before, or what you think is going to be a tip-rich environment. Now you get your normal friends or family or fans, your regular music fans that come to a lot of your gigs. You always have a table or two of those type people. You go ahead and break up a 20 before you get to your gig. Have a couple 5s and 10 1s. And you lay it on that table with all your friends. And you tell them, when it looks like the show is a good time and everybody's really paying attention to me, can you please come and lay some of this money in my guitar case? Now, this is your money that they're giving back to you. You're not taking money out of your friends. You don't want your friends' money. You want everybody else's money, you know? So you have your friends just watch for a time when you've got everybody's attention and everybody's having fun, and you have them go lay that money while everybody's eyes are on you and everybody's eyes are on that person going up and putting a tip in a tip jar. And you can almost watch the line form. People, it's almost a psychological thing where people see that happen and say, oh yeah, this guy is worth money. I'm going to pull out my wallet and I'm going to give him some money. Now, this trick can also be used on some of your local musician friends. If you go out and see local musician friends, first of all, to your layman, if you're watching, if you've made it this far in the video and you're not a player, you're obviously interested in live music and what live musicians do. If you go out and see a musician, one of the best things you can do is just take a photo. You don't have any money to give them? Take a photo, take a video of an opportune time in the show. Go find their social media, post it on their social media, or go tag them on your own social media and tell all your friends, hey, get down here, this guy is great. Now, that's a great thing you can do to promote the show. I love it when I'm done a show and I have 7 or 8 tags, of different people taking pictures and videos. First of all, it's telling people that people enjoy your music and are coming to your shows. So even if people don't make it down there that night, maybe they make a plan to come see you on another night or see one of your musician friends on another night. One of the best things you can do is take a photo and put it on your social and spread the word. Your musician friends, if you take a really good photo, your musician friends can end up using that as a promotional picture if you take a really good photo. And then you can have you can take solace in the fact knowing that you helped out their little music career by giving them a good shot that they could use on promotional posters and whatnot. But if you go out, if you're a musician and you go out and see your musician friends, make sure to use these tips. Take photos of them, post on their socials, and put money in their tip jars at the peak of their show. When you see that, a lot of times I go to see a friend of mine and I have a 5 or a 10 ready to go in their case at any time, but I wait until I see that they're playing a good song that gets everybody's attention. And then I make a big deal out of going up to the tip jar. I make sure everybody's seeing me. You know, I could fake stumble if it helps to get attention to me putting money in the tip jar. Let them laugh at me. My goal is to get money for my friends who are playing some music. So I go and put money in the tip jar and make everybody pay attention to me. Make sure everybody in the restaurant and the bar sees me putting money in there, because that's what makes them psychologically think, oh, maybe it's time I tip them as well. And you can almost watch a line for them. I've done that for friends before, where I've done it for friends that forgot to put out a tip jar and went and got them a tip jar and put money in it, and they walked out with an extra $60, $70. So there's some tips on getting some tip jars. And now for your final guitar tip, trick, whatever you want to call it. Now during this pandemic, we've been doing a lot of this type stuff. I played you a little music at the beginning, and it looked like I was a left-handed guitar player because we got your phone and it's flipped around. And it looks like I'm left-handed, but I'm actually right-handed. We've all been doing this, and I'm going to tell you this, and if you've tried it, you'll be like, yes, I understand that. So you got to put your phone up, point it at you, and a lot of times you're leaning it against something and it falls. Or you lean it against something and you put something else in front of it so that it doesn't fall, but then it gets in the way of your camera. There's all kinds of things that happen. Sometimes you just lean it up against things, you think you're good, you're playing, and the vibrations from you playing and singing knock it over in the middle of a song, and now it's pointed up at the ceiling for the rest of the song. We've had all these issues during this pandemic when we're doing all this live show stuff. The best phone holder is actually a guitar tool. Now, I use these, I don't know what I did with it. I use the Schaub capos. Here she is. I use these type capos. So I don't use the Kaiser capos anymore, but I do have a bunch laying around. And that's what's been holding my phone up this whole time. One of these Kaiser capos can pinch on your phone and be a phone holder. So there's your final guitar tip and trick. Thank you, music friends. Thank you, non-music friends. Thank you, fans and anybody else. If any of these tips help you and your music career, or if you're just starting out, or if I missed anything, comment down below and maybe I'll make another video. But I tried to give as many tips as I could. I didn't want it to go 30 minutes, but it has. Keep playing, my friends, and keep your music live and local. Music is always best when it's live and local.